I'm in the booth. Don't shoot. Which I need some proof.
Introducing the
videos,
2 racks a week challenge.
Ronnie Speed. Yeah, Ronnie Speed. When I drive, I make
video, and then where you were just showing all your 2500. I said, okay, all right. I said I can get with that.
Introducing the 2 racks a week challenge. And also for this 2 racks a week winners link up, it will be a little bit different. I'm gonna have a panel. Of course I'm gonna have a panel, and I'm gonna have a space for the new hustlers out there who have not made $2,000 in a week yet, and they want to level up. They want to get their game up, make $2,000. I'll be sending an invite to, you can come along, join the panel, just sit in the waiting room. Then after the interview is over, I will give you an opportunity to ask the winner some questions, man. So so I'm gonna have about 10 contestants on there who just gonna sit in the waiting room and be able to ask them some questions. And keep in mind, these are people who have not made $2,000. If this is something that you would be interested in, go to the description, click on the very first link, and fill out the questionnaire, man. So 10 contestants, that's right, only 10. So if this is something you'd be interested in, just pause the video right now before we even get going so you don't forget, and come back. What's going on, people? Ronnie Speed coming back. Man, you know what time it is, man. Here we have another winner of the 2 racks a week challenge. Here we have my roommate Jordan, man. So let's go ahead and get out the way. He can do his introductions and everything.
Man, watch out, man. It's your boy J Eddie. What's going on, guys? You see it. 2 racks a week. It's nothing new to me, though. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this for quite some time. And of course, Ronnie is who got me involved in driving Uber in the first place. He told me, man, you gonna quit your job. Guess what I did? Up and left my job, man. Started driving Uber, getting this money, man. So happy to be part of the 2 racks a week team.
Well, you've been part of the 2 racks a week team.
I've been part of the team, but it feels good to embrace it. Now we got something tangible, and we got people out there following our lead, man. It's nothing but exciting, man. I love hearing your guys' story, and we're just gonna keep going up, man.
So tell them, like, do you remember the first time you hit $2,000 in a week?
Man, it's funny because I remember, like, we kind of like, we were still pretty new to the game, so we were just kind of like figuring things out. I remember being excited a couple of times when we were like, damn, man, we made like 150 today. And then, like, at that point, we just kept going and going. Like, we kept upping it up a little bit, like little by little. So, then like it got really exciting. Like, it got really exciting when, maybe one of us hit 200. We're like, damn, okay, maybe we got to stick it out a little bit longer than we normally do. Because I remember there's a lot of times when I'll be satisfied with, making the quick like 150 or whatever it was. But then once we started seeing like, oh, maybe like one day we were able to stay out longer than usual, or just decided to, and then the money was up higher too, man, that was really when the ball just started going, man. So when we hit 2,000, when I hit 2,000, it was crazy to think, because you guys got to understand, this is in 1 week. I remember taking paychecks home from the job, like, it was like some of them would be like under 1,000, and that's bi-weekly.
Tell them where you was working at.
I was working at Apple, man. I was first I was in the store, about to be part of the Genius team, and I remember I was like on my way to just like get this certification, and I was like, man, I'm out of here, dude. Like, I'm just wasting time. I would sit there, look outside the window, and think about all the time I could have been like driving and making way more than I was making that whole day that I was sitting there at work, man. So I would just sit there and be like, it was like a fish in a fish bowl. I was like, man, I'm wasting a whole bunch of time up in here. And I just had to leave.
Hold on, move out the way. So I remember one day when we was living together, and a house in Oakland. I remember coming home one day, showing them my earnings. I think I was probably like at $1,700 or $1,800 for the week. And I looked at him in his face. I was like, bro, you gonna quit your job. And like he said earlier, you know, he took the steps and then, you know, he trusted me and believed what I was saying. And he quit his job and, you know, he started driving, started having a good time, and he started making his money. So like you were saying earlier, we used to set like, you know, small goals, 150, then it went to $200, $250. So tell them, how exactly did you go about like learning new skill sets, learning new disciplines, readapting your mindset in order for you to, you know, increase your goals and keep leveling up in this Uber game?
Man, it was pretty simple. I mean, it might have been a little bit easier for me because I did have Ron as roommate at that time a few years ago. And it was a lot easier to see the fact that, okay, he's doing this. So it's like, there's no reason why I can't do it and I shouldn't be doing it. You know what I'm saying? So if like, it'd be dumb for me to like shut it down early, but then he comes home and has like, you know, a whole $100 more than I made that day. So it's like, all right, you know, we just kind of stuck on the same path and same type of schedule. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I'll just get up early and start. I remember the first day I did it, man, I barely could even sleep that night. I was so excited to actually get out there and do it, man. I was like, I woke up, I think we were driving at 5 a.m. He was like, you know, start early, start around like 5 a.m. and go from there. I woke up at 5 a.m. with ease. Like, no, I wasn't even tired. I was so excited to get out on the road. And that's just kind of like really what helped. Like, I don't really have a hard time, like, you know, if I have a goal or something, I'm gonna reach it. Like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to go for it. I'm a motivated, like, I could find motivation and drive within myself. It's really not that complex to me. I feel like it's like easy as 1, 2, 3. You know, if you see it, then you can achieve it. You know what I mean? So like, it was easy. It was really easy for me because I'm seeing what was already being done. So it's like, okay, this is cake. Like, okay, this is what I got to do. Then we started seeing like, okay, the hours is like kind of what really mattered, rather than like maybe the number of rides. Because, you know, the bonuses were, you know, they were bigger back then, but at the same time, like, it was kind of like a learning curve. So we're kind of focusing on, okay, well, dividing these days by the certain amount of rides and stuff, maybe do it that way. But no, man, like, it's like, you might as well maximize it as much as you can. And next thing you know, you're hitting like 30 rides in one day. So then you're like getting your bonus within like 2 to 3 days easy, rather than just getting at the last minute or trying to push for it. So yeah, man, it was pretty easy to get on track with it. I didn't find too much of it to be challenging. You don't really have to overthink. It was like simple, man. Like, a lot of people try to like beat the system. Just accept the rides that come to you. For me, the biggest thing is like, if it's worth it, then I'm gonna do it. You know, I don't try to stay in one place. I don't limit myself, because that's when you start giving yourself limitations and you're not maximizing your potential. So if it's worth it, then I just do it. Like, you know, sometimes it may suck. Sometimes there's traffic. Sometimes like I'll go to a place that normally would take me 20 minutes, but it'll take me 47. But if it's worth it, and I know that like at the end of the day it's gonna allow me to reach my goals, then you gotta go after it.
All right, good. All right, now I'm gonna touch on something important, you know, that I just thought about. I think we start making, hold on, let me put my glasses on, man, because I gotta look cool for y'all, man, you know. So I think a few years ago, maybe 2018 was probably like the first time we both made around $2,000. But I remember in 2019 when I started driving 84 plus hours a week, doing my 30-day challenges. I remember this dude right here. He hit $3,000 in a week before I did. I think at the time my highest was probably like 2,800. Maybe I got to 2,900, I can't remember. But I remember specifically he got to $3,000, you know, before I did. And I was happy for him. I was salty. I'm like, damn, this motherfucker got it before I did. But I was happy for him because it's like, damn, man, like, shit. We was hitting 2K pretty consistently. Then it's like, damn, can we get to 3K now? Then, you know, he did it. So, you know, that was a good feeling as his sensei. And do you remember that moment? Do you remember hitting $3,000? Oh, yeah, tell him about that. Tell him about that.
I honestly, so this is why it's also good to have like someone like Ron as a friend, right? Because we both are very competitive people. And it's not to the point of where anyone will be offended, feelings get hurt. You know, like you said, he might be a little salty. And there's times where I'm salty. I'm like, damn, this motherfucker made like $200 more than I did this week or whatever. And sometimes I might drive more hours or something. But that's just kind of what comes with the game. But for us, like, there were some times where, like, you know, we kind of challenged each other a little bit. You know, it kind of became like a little friendly competition. So I honestly think he mentioned it to me first, where he was like, you know, he's like, oh, I'm gonna try to make 3,000. I was like sitting there, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna try to make 3,000. And, you know, my rides were busting that week too. I could really remember. I remember exactly where I was at when I actually hit the 3,000. I had just dropped somebody off at the casino in Richmond. And that was like what sent me over the 3,000 mark. So the first thing I did, screenshot it, sent it over to him. Like, yep, your boy hit 3,000. He's like, damn, no way. So, and that was cool because at that point, that's when we really started learning a lot more of the system. And we was like starting to understand what was becoming achievable. So like I said earlier, our thing started like at a small level, and then they just like started going up little by little. Like whether if it was make $1,000 in a week to 1,500 to 2,000, 2,500. Next, you know, we just kept setting the bar higher and higher for each other. And that was like really what was helpful, was because we were both out there trying to get it the same way. And, you know, more than likely he was probably the one who set the bar, but if he's going to try to hit that bar, there's no reason for me not to try to hit that bar too. So yeah, man, that was a good time. I definitely remember that like it was yesterday. It was a great feeling. The best part about it is like setting a goal for yourself and reaching it. You know what I mean? And especially when it's not too low. Like, don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate your abilities and what you're capable of. Try to do what you don't think you can do. Like, set the bar a little bit higher than you know that you could achieve. Because then, you know, you have some that I think that allows you to actually have more motivation, more drive to try to hit that goal. And that's exactly what we did, and that's what we've been doing for the past few years.
Quick question. So now, since you've been hitting $2,000, you know, pretty consistently, and you know the market out here, you know how to do it. Where do you think people go wrong, and why they don't achieve $2,000 in a week?
Oh man, I love this, because what I like to find myself doing to get a little more of it, like an undercover insight of like other drivers' mindsets, their perception, and their perspective on just driving itself. If I ever find myself taking an Uber, I like to ask them questions just as like a passenger. I won't tell them that I'm driving yet, because sometimes I'll either feel like they'll either lie or they'll just kind of like, you know, they won't be upfront about things. So as a passenger, I'm sure they would like to, you know, if it's going to be negative, they're going to be like, oh yeah, like try to make me feel bad or like feel sorry for them or whatever. So I would ask them questions like, oh, how do you like driving? Sometimes they'll say something like, oh, it's like okay, but it's not that great. I'll be like, why is that? And I just start probing a little bit more. You know, I start trying to dig a little under and try to find a little more information about like what it is of that, you know, where they're at in their headspace. So they'll say something like, oh, well, Uber doesn't pay well. And in my head, I'm like, man, you're lying, because like, bro, I'm getting paid. So, you know, I'm like, oh, well, like, how many days a week do you drive? So then the truth starts coming out. Oh, I only drive, you know, like 3 to 4 days a week. I don't like to drive on the weekends. And so all you start hearing is all the limitations that they start putting on themselves. And also some of these drivers out here are just automatically negative. Like, I almost feel like they don't appreciate what they have available to them, and they're not utilizing it properly. Like, they're just doing it like maybe like, I really don't know. Like, everybody's circumstances are different, right? So I also try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but then I also start hearing the things of them being either negative or limiting themselves. They will sit there and be like, oh, I'll ask them, how many hours a day do you typically drive? They'll say anywhere from like, you know, like 6, or they'll automatically shut it down at 8. Like, see, for me, sometimes 8 hours could be good enough for me. Like, I've had days where like, I'm like, damn, I'm already at like almost 300 in 8 hours. Of course, I want to keep going more, because I mean, that just makes it easier to reach higher amount of money with the available 4 hours left. But a lot of these guys, a lot of these drivers, the moment 8 hours comes or a little bit earlier, they just shut it down. They don't even care where they're at. They could be at $100 for 8 hours, and I won't be satisfied enough. I'm like, damn, I gotta keep going, man. I don't have enough money. But they'll be like, oh, 8 hours, I'm out of here, and they'll just go home. A lot of other drivers, I actually hear this more from my passengers than I do from other drivers themselves, but they will limit themselves by what areas they drive in. They'll be like, oh, like for instance, out here in the Bay Area, you have like Oakland, and then across the bridge, you have San Francisco. People are so nitpicky about the driving where they don't want to go across the bridge just to San Francisco. Oh, we're going to stay in Oakland. I don't want to go across the bridge. There's traffic, whatever. I don't understand how you drivers can sit here and complain about traffic and you pick up a job like driving. That's like being an athlete saying, oh, I want to be an athlete, but I don't like sweating. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. Like, you signed up for it. No one's forcing you to be a driver. So don't limit yourself, man. And it's the same thing back and forth. Like, oh, I'm in San Francisco. I don't want to drive in Oakland. So just limitations all over the place. Like, they just do not allow themselves to reach the maximum potential that they could possibly achieve.
Man, you made some interesting points. Let me get in the camera. Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. Like, a lot of people limit themselves. You know, they don't want to go to certain areas. They want to, like I said, just do dumb stuff. Like, stop limiting yourself and stop these limiting beliefs that you have in your mind and telling yourself. So now, since you consistently make $2,000 a week, tell the audience exactly, you know, what does that mean to you? Like, you making $2,000, and I'm sure your mindset has changed. You becoming like a better person in the process. So how does that like elevated you, and like, yeah, what does $2,000 a week mean to you?
And that's actually a great question. And there's a lot of great things about it, man, because like, for instance, if anything under 2,000, now I almost feel broke. Like, I was like, man, I didn't do enough. Like, I'll either be disappointed in myself, or, you know, certain circumstances, sometimes you just, it's inevitable and you can't do anything about it and it's out of your hands. But it allows, what I've started to notice is it allows me to start being able to do a whole lot of things that I wasn't able to do before. I've come from I'm not too much of a struggle background, but it definitely wasn't well off, you know what I mean? And I never had the things that I was able to, or that I ever wanted when I was younger. And also I had to provide for myself throughout college and while I was on, you know, being an adult and stuff. You know, my family doesn't have a whole bunch of money and stuff to where I could get that assistance and everything like that. So one thing that makes me feel great about it is that I'm able to get the things that I want these days. I'm able to save up for the things that I want. If you know, maybe if it's at a high price point, but I know that, okay, I can start mapping out things like, okay, if I drive, you know, make this much this week for the next month or two, boom, I'll have whatever it is I need. Also on top of it, starting to figure it out and just grinding, let's say Monday through Friday, to where you can start planning, scheduling out things throughout your week to allow you to also have the freedom to do other things and have the lifestyle that you may want. You know, it allows you to also be able to have fun on the side because you're able, one, to afford it, and it just allows you to, it elevates you, as especially as me being a man. It's very important for me to be able to give a sense of security, one, to myself or maybe to possibly someone else. But yeah, it's just like being able to take care of myself, maybe to help others. There's been many times in my life recently with me making this type of money to where I've been able to fish out and help somebody else out too that may be more in need financially than myself. But it's been great to be able to provide a nice roof over my head, and you know, just being able to have that freedom financially as well, more than I used to be able to.
All right, man. Of course, man. That's what we do over here, man. And you know, for I'll say about like a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years, I was out here driving, you know, by myself. You know, of course I was making money, but I wasn't making, you know, like $2,000, maybe 1,200, 1,400 the most. You know, driving part time. You know, once we reconnected and moved in the same house, because we was on the same track team in college. Once we moved in the same house, then, you know, driving became much more of a better experience for me, because now I got, you know, my bro with me. You know, we meeting up, eating good, you know, having a good time, making money, having freedom, planning ideas. So this is some of the benefits that making 2 racks a week and also driving Uber and Lyft, you know, can provide you if you set yourself up mentally, you know, readapt your mind as far as getting rid of the 9-to-5 mindset and trying to approach driving that way, because it's not gonna work, man. You know, this is all on you. You have to be self-reliant, self-sufficient. You have to be disciplined, and yeah, you could definitely reap the rewards. That's what we are here to do and help and provide you, man. So I'm gonna leave Jordan with 3 tips for all the new drivers out there who are watching this video. What can you leave them with before we get up out of here?
Yeah, it's actually funny because I was actually, when he was saying all that, I just thought of something that was very important to me when it came to driving. That also falls back on possibly how making $2,000 a week could be important. So when you tell other people, such as riders and stuff, because this will be part of the first tip as well. Interact with your passengers, because you never know who steps foot in your car. There's been many people, many connections that I've stayed in touch with passengers that were rather impressed with what I was doing. I drive a Tesla, so a lot of people I know now, when I first got it, they didn't have the rental as an option for Tesla. So now that it is, a lot of people still will, you know, like think, oh, is this the rental that, you know, comes from Hertz and stuff.
Hold up, time out.
Yeah.
You was one of the first ones to drive a Tesla.
Hey, I started this shit, man. I was ahead of everybody. I bought this in 2019. I started thinking what really caused me to do this was because I started mapping out my expenses that I had on my previous vehicle of what it was costing me to drive Uber the way it was. Now, of course, I was making great money, but then I started thinking in my head, how can I get more money in my pocket? So I started thinking about the things that I thought was kind of ridiculous of the expenses that I was paying, such as gas. And that's what made me really want to go electric, because I mean, I was already part of one of the programs Uber was providing at the time, which was the exchange leasing. And it's kind of a ripoff. It's a great stepping stone, but you can't rely on it and you can't just sit on it, because you're just getting paid. At some point, you're just paying to have the car, and you're also losing money out of that, versus if you just went a different route, whether if it's ownership of vehicle or just getting out of something else, it's way more beneficial. So I said the same thing. I was like, I got to get out of this car that's through the rental service and or the leasing program, and lower my cost to drive. So I started this shit, man. I was the #1 in the game. If you need Tesla advice, hit me up. I have a YouTube channel as well. It is J_Eddy. That's EDDY. And I have reached out, or a lot of other drivers that currently drive a Tesla have reached out to me and, you know, connect. So if you have any questions, hit me up. I could give you the best advice that I possibly can. So back to networking, or back to interacting with your passengers. This could be a benefit for you because you never know who's in your car, and they could either give you some great advice, because I've came across people who gave me financial advice and stuff that were in the account, in the financial realm. But I lost train of thought. So this could be a great way for you to open other doors and meet great people and have great connections. and also allows you to separate yourself from the rest of the drivers. I know a lot of drivers either have their headphones in and don't interact whatsoever, and it's just a quiet ride, and you know, it's just kind of a dull experience. Versus if you interact, it allows you to be different from the rest. I'm sure it also helps with your Uber rating, because I've really never had too much of a time where I've came anything lower than 4.9. So I've seen a lot of drivers that I have, and I'm like, damn, how did these dudes like driving around with like 4.7s and stuff? But then I start seeing it, you know, they're not interacting and they're just kind of like dull, whatever. So I think that's a great benefit. I think one of the biggest things that we talked about this whole interview is, you know, setting a goal for yourself, allowing yourself to set a bar for you to achieve. It makes driving actually a whole lot easier. It doesn't make it feel where, you know, you have to do this and you're just like sitting there like, oh, I can't wait to be done. Like, you're looking forward to something. So it allows there to be some sort of excitement when it comes to doing something like this, rather than just being like, oh, I have to do this, or like, you know, just like a negative mindset on it. And 3, just kind of plays part in the tip number 2. Just try to have as much fun with it as you can. You know, like, I like to joke around, and I like to make people laugh, man. And so I do that with my passengers. I tell some jokes and stuff, and they're like, oh, you're so funny. Like, this is the best Uber ride I ever had. And guess what? That just makes my ego up, you know. It blows my confidence up even more, you know. Like, duh, I know I'm funny. So, yeah, just have fun with it, man. Don't try to make it seem like it's anything that you have to do, even though maybe you do. Like, this is my main source of income, so like, I know that there's consequences to things if I don't have my shit together. So if I do slack, then, you know, next thing you know, like, either bills are above you or whatever it is. You can't do the things that you normally want to do if you're just out there slacking off. So setting a goal for yourself is very important, in my opinion. And I think that's pretty much all that I could come up with right now at the moment.
See, I don't even need to have to be in the interview, man. So, you know what, man, we shutting down the Bay. We're about to shut down USA, then shut down the world. So, eventually we're going to spread rapidly like a disease, man. 2 racks a week challenge. It's going to be the best thing in America, the best thing for Uber drivers, gig workers. So, yeah, man. So, that will complete this week's episode of the 2 racks a week challenge. Of course, we have another winner. Stay in tune next week for the next winner. I'll holler back. Peace.
2 racks a week. Ronnie Speed. Yeah, Ronnie Speed. 60 hours. 2 racks a week. Ronnie Speed. Yeah, Ronnie Speed. When I drive.